Welcome to Explore HVAC and Home Services podcast, where we're uncovering the stories, strategies, and some secrets about successful businesses. I'm your host, Pam Mashburn with Explore HVAC, and today we're joined with a special guest from Heatwiser, the owner, Dominick, who is making an impact in the HVAC and home services industry in Syracuse, New York. Hey, welcome, Dominick.
Welcome, Pam. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So, okay, I know a little bit about you. I want to. You're an interesting guy. I want to know, how did you originally get involved in HVAC?
Well, the story is I wasn't planning on getting involved in HVAC. I got invited to be in HVAC. I was down in my wife's from a different part of the state, so I moved down to live with her. And when I first got married, I was working as a car salesman only for a couple of years, and then a company out of Syracuse, where I'm from, which is an hour away from where I was, which was my dad's best friend, by the way. He said, "Hey, I want you to move to Syracuse, and I'm starting this new franchise." And they've been around for since the 40s. So they got into the 1 hour franchise, and they said, well, they need a salesman that has no idea what HVAC is. They want a raw salesman. So they hired me. They brought me back up here. They taught me it. And then about 3 years later, after he kind of went against his word with me with some financial situations, I kind of took that as disrespect. Within 2.5 weeks, I had Heatwiser started and rolling, and I was out of the door.
Wow. Yeah,
That
you're a guy that when you make a decision, you move forward fast.
Yeah, I'm either
So
in 0 or 100, that's it, one or the other.
0 to 100. I love it. I love it. Well, I think that's true of a lot of owners, especially. Well, tell me about like your growth and how many trucks you have on the road, that kind of stuff. How many people do you got?
Well, right now, we started with just 2 of us, me and another guy. I was out there working with him, and I didn't know much, so I was learning as I was going. And then when I got better at it, I started hiring more people. We had about 7 or 8 people at one point, and then Obama unfortunately hit the office and kind of destroyed, in my perception, destroyed the country, and everything went to heck. And we had to lay everybody off and get rid of a few vehicles, and it was just me and another guy again. And then I built it back up to I got 5 trucks, and we got 5 guys.
All right. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, and this is your 20th year, right?
It's my 20th year, correct. We were started in November of 06.
Wow, that's great. This is Explore Media's 20th year too. So we're right there with you. I've some of the things that I'm sure we've experienced too in 2008. There's just been a lot of crazy things that over 20 years. I actually can't even believe it's been 20 years. Do you feel
No,
like it's flown by, or what do you? Yeah,
it's as you get older, as we get older, time just really, really goes by, and I feel because it's too much we have too much on our plate, so we're always hustling, and it's just we don't have enough time. But, back when we were kids, we didn't have any bills or houses to pay for and things like that, so time was, of the essence, and it was slower.
it was. It felt like 3 years to get to Christmas when I was a kid. Right
Yeah,
now, I'm
yeah.
like, oh my gosh, I got to start shopping for that now. But anyway, what would you say when you look back, over these 20 years? What do you think is the single most influential or important thing that you did or that someone did for you to help you in your business?
Well, when I first started it, again, I was going into it raw, and I was just following the leader, what everybody else did, you know,
Mhm.
kind of just doing the advertising, doing the sales calls, just being monotonous, so to speak. And I use the word hustler a lot, and I don't use that word in a negative way. I use it in a word where it's positive. So being a hustler, being the kind of person I am, I'm always looking to find better ways of making the wheel go around, so to speak. So
Mhm.
for me, it's just, finding better ways to get my guys into people's homes to do installs and to do service calls. But there's a catch behind that because I'm a Goodman and a man, a dealer, they brought me something to my attention way later into my career, which I was a little upset about, but then I was happy about it because now that I have it, and I don't really want to reveal the secret, but what I've learned from the down south people, I'm going to call it that, where I go to for my training, they totally revolutionized my company. I'm talking within months. And then when I met you folks, you guys were like the diamond in the rough as well, because
Aw.
I've been going through marketing companies for years, and what I always say at the table to every marketing person is, if my phone doesn't ring, I'm not going to use you. And it always ends up where it's like I spend a fortune and I get nothing in return. And it's almost like it goes in one ear and out the other. But then when I met Christina and you guys went over your stuff, it was more like, okay, these guys are more personable. And with you guys, and what my secret is, which exactly what I'm talking about and who I'm talking about. It's totally changed my company to where, I don't have to really stress anymore about, like I used to stress, like, what are we going to do in January, February, and March, or what are we going to do in the low time? So yeah, it's been great. So the main factor would be what I know now.
Wow. Well, I mean, I think you've had a lot of great mentors working with you, and I think that's been really good. But you're good at planning. I mean, I know one of the things every HVAC person goes through is weather sucks. I mean, I now I feel bad if I say, "Oh, it's such a pretty day." I'm like, "Ah, people aren't getting their phones to ring." It's the weather is so influential in that. But I think one of the things I've seen you shift from is not just worrying about the weather, you're trying to come up with other promotions, coming up with other ideas so that during that slow periods, because we know we're going to have them, right? We're going to have those shoulder seasons, that you're coming up with really great promos, which kind of leads me into like Syracuse is you'd say is a pretty competitive market, right?
We have a lot of HVAC companies. I'm talking a lot. I mean, that's a lack of a better word to use. I mean, there is a ton.
A ton. Yeah. Um, So you've got to you really do have to hustle.
You do.
Um, yeah. And so I know one of the things I wanted to talk to you about is your branding. And if our audience hasn't seen it, Heatwiser has a very distinctive, yep, there it is. I love your branding. How long
Or
have you guys had that? How long have you had it? Where'd you get the ideas? Tell me a little bit about the whole brand journey that you went on.
So going backwards to when we talked about a minute ago about, marketing and whatnot and the companies that I used in the past, I do have to give a shout out to one company up north, Epic was my last marketing company. Not because they made the phone ring like I wanted it to, it's because they redesigned my logo. And I respect them for that. And they're great people. Don't get me wrong. They're good in the Syracuse market for other regions, but not the heating world. And it's not any disrespect towards them, because if they knew it, maybe they would get better at it. But I said to them, I went into them and I said, listen, I want a fresh look. Here's my logo. Here's my image. I'm going to leave you guys up to you guys to do whatever you want. I'm going to give you a carte blanche. I don't want to know anything. Just give me a couple different things to pick from when you're done. And they gave me two different things. And I was just, when I seen it, it was like, now I'm a shopper. When I go to Marshall's and I see that one piece of clothing, I'm like, I got to have it. So when I seen that one logo, I'm like, that's the one right there. Done, and they knocked out of the park. And then they designed our vans, and I said, "Hey, take my logo and make me a really cool." I'm into motocross, I'm into skiing, I'm into sports and racing stuff. So I said, "Make my truck stand out and make it look like racing, so to speak." And they crushed it. So with that said, I'm like, the brand is phenomenal, and people all over the place see it. They want our shirts. They just always say to us, "You
Y'all
guys have the,"
sell your shirts?
huh?
You sell your shirts?
No, they want them, and I don't sell them, but that's something
You
I'm thinking,
should.
might as well start doing something. I'm not gonna focus on it, but, it's another opportunity to hustle, but, yeah,
Or if
a bit
nothing else, get people wearing it, so that's free advertising, right?
right,
Yeah,
yeah,
I think it's a great idea. It is a fantastic logo, um, and it
and I'm wearing the glasses, by the way. These are the glasses, see?
I know it, and that's what makes it so great. Well, it's representative of you, but it's not, and so it's a perfect blend. But what my people in my office love making your ads. And every time, so I look at every ad that comes across, every organic social media post, I always look at them. And I always enjoy looking at yours because they're so different. Most people do the red, white, and blue. I mean, that seems to be what I see a lot of. And it's just so refreshing to see a different kind of brand. And if you're listening, his brand is, black, red, and white. And so it really
Orange,
stands out.
orange.
Orange, I'm sorry, I said red, but I meant
Because up
orange.
here, Syracuse University is SU Orangemen, so we're the orange area
Oh,
here.
yeah.
It kinda goes with the territory. And then the eyes being my glasses, so I always put like, we have these stickers right here. So I slap them on all of our air conditioners and I'm always like, we have eyes everywhere because they're looking right out the road. You can see it when you're driving by. You can see the eyes. We're
I
watching you.
love that. I've never heard you tell that before. We need to incorporate that into some stuff. So I'm
And then
glad
my
we
other
said that.
one is it's Heatwiser, cool smarter. So yeah,
Mhm. Yeah, that's very clever. And one of the things you talked about was you had a great branding agency. Um, but one of the things that I always tell HVAC companies and to do is to focus on someone that's in the HVAC and home services industry because they get to know those that seasonality that and one of the things like with us is that we have exclusivity. And so that means if I get a great idea from somebody in Iowa, I can share it with you because y'all are not in competition. And so it's just and you learn what works best for different things in the HVAC industry. So that's one of the things that I think you should always use a niche agency. Um,
I agree.
so what do you think sets you guys besides your really cool logo? What do you think sets you apart from all the competition in Syracuse?
Well, because we have this said company that we share with and we use, they are if every company in Syracuse got together with me right now, not one of them is doing what we're doing. Not one. That's what sets us apart. From what I learned from what you guys know down south in Alabama, where I go to for my training, okay, that sets us apart. That has changed my life within 3 months. Okay. It totally changed everything to now where I look at other companies. If I want to buy one, I know what to do when I go inside there to reorganize their company and not spend a ton of cash for advertising. It's just using what I know. And that's what sets us apart. Number one. Number two, what makes us different is that homeowners buy off people they trust. Okay. So we really focus on morals. Okay. We don't lie to anybody. If we find something wrong with the furnace, we are going to show you why it's broken. If we find
Hmm.
it bad, whatever the case may be, we're going to take a camera and we're going to show you so you can see it with your own two eyes that there it is. You've seen it. We've seen it. We know it's there, and that's what they want. They want trust. And a lot of people up here will send sales guys or whomever, and all they care about is the sale. And they want to just get in and get out. And then the technician goes there or the installer goes there, and it's just a big mess. And then they call the office, and then they don't know what's going on, and it just becomes repetitive where it's all the same garbage. We don't do that. We do things differently. Each person individually is what we focus on. When we go to your house is all that matters. Okay. And we give you the facts. And if you like what you hear and you want to move forward, then we're here to help you out.
I love that. So you're transparent about what you're seeing,
100%.
and you're almost like a consultant, and you're educating your customer on what you're seeing. It's not just, "Oh, you need a new system." Y'all are, like, giving them data, and I think that's empowering for that homeowner to have that choice, to
Yeah. And
say,
we get,
"Okay,
look
now
at,
I understand what it is," instead of the Jerry Seinfeld, "Oh, it's a Johnson rod," and nobody knows what a Johnson rod is, right? Y'all do a good job of explaining that to the customer. And
yeah, I love Seinfeld.
yeah, and I think y'all probably get a lot of word of mouth referrals too from it.
We do a lot of them. We get a lot of referrals from people, and plus I'm from here. I know a lot of people to begin with. So, that helps a lot as well.
Yeah. So a lot of smaller owners, smaller businesses where you guys were with two of you, it's hard to sometimes pick up the phone and give great customer service. What's some advice that you would give other like you've really dialed it in your office to be able to answer the phone quickly, all this stuff. What kind of tips would you give a really small HVAC owner around customer service?
Find someone that is good with customer service. Find someone that can take someone yelling at them because if they call me on the phone, it's a little bit different. My wife, Amanda, answers the phone and she can handle all that with compassion. I am more straightforward. I cut to the chase. I don't play. She does. So you don't want to have someone with my kind of personality. I'm not a mean person. I love everybody. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I'm very
Yeah.
fair, but I'm also to the point. I don't want to beat around the bush where you need to have someone that can beat around the bush that will let you, rage on them for a little while if that were the case. and then handle the situation, handle the problem and find a solution, and then also to that, I mean, even on great phone calls, it's good to have that really good bubbly personality, which my wife has. So bubbly personality is really important, and being able to listen, and also being able to dispatch and also know what your schedule looks like and have someone kind of qualified to answer the phones. But definitely want to have a great attitude and someone who is very compassionate.
Would you say that's your first hire? That should be your first hire,
Well,
for
the
that
phone
single
calls, yeah,
business owner?
your phone is the most important key. That's the first step. That's the introduction. If they once they call your phone, we've had people. My wife's had people, and I when I first started my company, I answered the phone, so I let all that, I pushed that aside. But as you get older and you get into the business more, and many years, you kind of get thick. Your skin gets softer. But with her, when they call her, I've had people call and want stuff, and they were going to go somewhere else, but because of my wife and how she handled the phone call, they just said, "We're going with you guys. We're done." So that's important, being able to have that kind of personality.
What do you think about the new AI, um, phone answering services that are coming in? I mean, that's really, a new trend with home services. What's your thoughts on that?
I mean, AI is great, don't get me wrong. I mean,
Mhm.
there's pros and there's cons to it. Is it gonna destroy our world? Maybe, I don't know. But when it comes to phone calls, you really need to have someone that's human, that's got blood in them, that's got a soul, a spirit, you know what I mean, a compassion. AI would be good for if you're calling up someone to order something and it's already done, it's a part, there's no interactions, with someone. But when you're calling someone and you're crying and you're upset because you got no heat and it's 10 below out, you think AI really cares?
Right.
They're gonna be able to
Great
answer some
point.
questions besides the point? They're not. But if you're just there to schedule a call, like a doctor's office, you wanna make a that's different. Yeah, great, awesome. But I think when you're talking about the face of the company, I don't think AI would be the way to go. Maybe after hours from, like, 11 to 5 in the morning, but from, wake up until 10 o'clock, it should be a human.
I agree with you on that. I can see both sides of it. Like, if you don't have if you're a single operator person and you don't have anybody to answer, it's better than not having it answered, right? But I think the businesses that will have that distinct advantage in the future will be the ones that have the human. That's my thoughts is
It
I
is.
think a lot of people are jumping towards the AI, but I think the point of difference for a lot of people will be, yeah, my neighbor works there. I talk to her on the phone. I call her, and as opposed to just talking to, because I'll tell you what, when I get in some of those AI loops of menus and numbers, and it drives me a little batty.
Right. Now, I mean, AI could work now, here's how AI could work. I already thought about this a while ago. Once we have our company dialed into where I have every player in place, okay, and we
Yeah,
have scheduling for each person and the time frames for each person, and they're not doing specific 2 different roles or 3 they're only doing 1 role, then AI could work because now it's just, what's wrong with your furnace? What do you need? Okay, this guy's available. Where do you live? Boom, boom, done. He'll be there in an hour. Done. But when you got a guy who's got to do 2 different tasks where he's either installing or and you got to work around his schedule and try to fit him in, AI can't do that. I'm sorry. That's where a human would come in. But I think AI would be good for a company who's just, like I said, you're just dispatching and that's it. And you got guys set in place and there's your schedule and you're done. Then yes, AI will be okay for that. I agree.
yeah. It is gonna be interesting to see um, how all of that changes. So I want to get into some of these other questions, but I'm dying to know about your motocross and
Okay.
how you got involved in that. You've been doing it since when?
I've been doing it since I'm 57, so 1981 when I was like 11-ish,
Uh-huh.
12, I got into motocross, and the day I got into it was the day I was just hooked. So for me, I've been involved, I've been racing my whole life, and then I'm also a skier, so in the wintertime, I would go out and compete in moguls. In the summer,
Wow.
I'd race all summer long. And as I got older, I got hurt when I was 50, 51. So I kind of hung up, you know, I'm not racing anymore. But then I got involved with MX Sports in the pro motocross. So now I go to a lot of the outdoors and the indoors, and I just kind of give a hand, help out, get the hard card. So a lot of pro riders are my friends. Top pro riders are my friends. So I'm still in the industry. I'm just not racing. I'm still getting my fix by going there, being there, behind the scenes. Get to be on the podium with the guys and watch the action from the best in the house. I got my box here. So for me, I'm still involved. I'm actually going down this weekend to Gatorback to for Win Curran to help him. He's got the Winter Am Series for down there. I'm going to drop the gate Saturday and Sunday, and then one of my buddies who helps run the track, we're going to go to his house Monday, and we're going to do some fishing Monday and Tuesday. I'm flying home Tuesday.
Wow, that'll be fun. So I know you've got it incorporated into your branding. Do you do anything else? Like, does your company sponsor local events or
Yeah. Well, I don't sponsor local events, but I do give some friends of mine, we have graphics made that look like our vehicles. So we have wraps made for bikes. So it's got the Heatwiser logo on it, which is pretty cool. I have a Heatwiser Easy Up pop-up tent. I go to the tracks, my Easy Up stuff, and a lot of pro rider friends of mine, like Josh Grant, Tim Ferry, Mike Brown, like guys who are world known guys. I'll bring them up here to New York. We'll do some training camps in the summertime. So I kind of get like the pro riders to come up here. So, I kind of get involved with that through Heatwiser.
yeah, that's cool. Has it helped your business in other ways?
Not necessarily. I do it for the fun, but I just recently, my daughter's in cheer. She's a 10th grader, so she's a cheerleader. So we just sponsored the cheerleading team. Gave them some money, and Heatwise are going to sponsor them for a little bit, help them out. But we're not, it will be on a T-shirt if we get something out of it. Great, I would love to get something out of it, but I don't really. I'm not doing it for that reason. But
Mhm.
it pans out. It pans out.
Yeah. How do you have some strategies where you lean in locally? Because, in this industry, we're seeing a lot of private equity coming into communities. And I think people are starting to recognize how that can affect because the private equity folks are not necessarily getting involved in the local sports or the local sponsorships, the chambers, things like that. How are you guys leaning into that a little more?
Well, we haven't really got into a lot of the local sponsorships as far as like you just mentioned, Chamber of Commerce and things like that. We are going to start getting into that a little bit more as we go, just to kind of give back, to kind of like help the kids out. 'Cause I love sports, all
Yeah,
sports. I play
yeah.
baseball, football, golf, motocross, skiing. So we're going to start to look at that kind of stuff as we go.
Well, and this is also a tip for our listeners out there. When you do things like that, let's make sure that you get some sort of backlink to your website because that signals to Google and AI that you are hyper local, and it'll pull you up in the rankings.
Well,
See if
that's
you
what
can
you
get your
guys are going to
cheer
come and you're
people.
going to tell me what I need to do, and I'm going to do it.
Yeah, we'll help you with that for sure.
Yeah.
Um, all right. So when you step back, um, and look at Heatweiser over the last 20 years, what's the most important thing that you're most proud of?
Well, I'm most proud of the fact that I can actually help other families by having them work with us to provide an income for them so they could be successful and have a bright future as well. So for me, as I got into this line of work, obviously it's to pay your bills, um,
Mhm.
make a good, comfortable living if you can. So for me, I'm very thankful that I was brought into this business because it's hard when I've been to college. I have some college, but I don't have a college degree, and a lot of places want that, even though I have a lot of skills. So I'm thankful
Smart.
that I'm
Yeah.
in a home service business where I can grow it, and everybody that comes in with us, we kind of treat them all. I mean, I know you hear this a lot. We treat them like family in your company. We really do. They come over to our house for dinners 3, 4 nights a week. We watch football. We hang out. If they need to borrow something or money, we give them money. We're there to help our guys out tremendously. And if we don't have any work, we'll go to the shop and we'll do stuff around the shop. We'll find things to do to kind of keep them going. So we really pride ourselves on, we treat our guys like family.
I love that. I mean, it is a big responsibility to have other people's livelihoods depend on your leadership. And it sounds like you've built a really good team culture. What do you look for when you're hiring people?
Well, right now we're trying to hire some people. We're looking for serious, well-oiled people. They got to have some skill behind them, some lead installer guys. We're looking for some technicians, but we also use now. Just I should have said this earlier, but I'm sure you heard of BOCES, right? What BOCES is?
I don't know what that is. No.
I think it's a trade school, so to speak, where you can go there and learn different kind of like cooking or painting or auto
Okay.
mechanics. If you're in
Gotcha.
high school, you can go to BOCES when you're in high school, while you're in high school. So we actually linked up with BOCES. So at the end of their 3 months of training, they have to do internships and ride along, so to speak. So we've told them our doors would be open. So they'll send us, like, we have a guy that came in today. He's 19 years old, just got out of high school, just graduated out of his course. He knows a little bit of HVAC, but not much. They teach you the basics, they give you your EPA card. But we like to get those kids in. They intern with us for a month for free. That's all paid from by the school. And
Okay.
then
Oh, nice.
if they turn out to be good and we think that they're an asset to themselves and they want to move forward, we'll hire them, as helpers. And then we'll train them in-house. Like, we have one guy named Shamar. He came in, he interned, we loved him, we hired him, we gave him some decent money per hour, and now he's our helper, and he's about to become one of our almost lead installers, but he'll be an installer, not a lead yet. Where you can actually go to a job, drop him off, he can do it, we can come back, inspect it, and bring him back. So he's got ladders, steps to go up. We've given him these different steps, and it's up to him to get where he needs to go. So, we always look out and try to help find, local people, young people that are ambitious, that want to learn, and we can mold and train. And we always try to find guys who have some qualifications behind them.
Well, I do love that because you get to it's really hard to interview somebody, and there's a few people in my world that I know are really good judge of characters. I'm not a great judge of character. I think everybody's like me and I think they're going to be great, but the only way that you really know if they're going to be a good fit is if you work with them day in and day out for a little while. And so that is really cool about the internship for a month because you can decide, okay, yeah, they would fit our culture. They've got that work ethic. So y'all just started doing this, is that right?
About a year ago.
Okay.
Yeah. Shamar will be with us in February for 1 year. That's his anniversary. He'll be here for 1 year since February. But I'm like you. I'm a good judge of character, but I'm also a benefit of the doubt kind of guy. Like, I want to give you
Yeah.
a chance. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? If you don't work out, you don't work out.
Yeah. Yeah. But just that's really that sounds like a great program. I really wish that they had more of those kind of programs out in the world. I think it's regional specific. I'm kind of surprised, when you were in high school, did they have at my high school, we had like beautician school, welders, and all that kind of stuff. It was part of
Yeah.
the high school
I went to one.
curriculum, right?
Yeah, I went to one. That's BOCES.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, they
Yeah,
don't
I
have
went
that
to
here. In the
I
South, they
went
don't
to
have that.
yeah, I went to food prep, and cosmetology was next door,
Yeah.
and auto mechanics was in the same
Cosmetology, that
building.
was it. Yeah,
Yeah,
auto mechanics, yeah, all of that was there, and so when people graduated from high school, they could immediately go into the workforce. Where we're at down in the South, you have to go to trade school for 2 more years usually, and it
which is
costs
good.
money, and yeah, it's just it would be
I'm
nice.
For me, if someone was watching this and wanted to get into the heating world, I wouldn't even go to a trade school. I would just go right to a company and say, "Listen, I'm a go-getter. I'm young, I'm ambitious, I got knowledge, I'm hands-on, I got some mechanical skills." And then you can be trained. You can be trained because when you go to these BOCES, BOCES is good for the door being open,
Mhm.
and they give you your EPA card, which is your license for refrigerant, which is huge. So that's a positive. But they come out of it with barely any knowledge. They don't teach them what we know. So if I was looking at someone and that was 18 or 19, I would say just call the HVAC company, get your foot in the door, learn, learn, and learn. And by the time 5 years goes by, you'll be a lead installer. You'll be making 30 to $50 an hour, and you'll be
Wow,
crushing.
that's awesome. That's great advice, Dominic. I love that. If you could go back, let's say 15 years, not 20, but let's say 15 years, what advice would you give your younger self?
Man, that's tough. That's a tough one because what I know now with the down south people that I got invested in, I would have never figured that out ever. Okay. So I would go back and say, "Hey, man, you need to go check this company out and get involved with them," and
No, no, no.
start it back
Yeah.
then, because there's really I would have just kept doing the same thing over and over again, just kind of following the suit, what everybody else does, throwing a ton of money in advertising, trying to get the phone to ring, trying to send sales guys out. And that's so backwards. So I would just be, I don't know, I would just kind of say, look for something different than what you already know.
Yeah.
That's a tough one to answer, really. But
Yeah.
what I know now is a game changer.
Uh-huh. Well, it's interesting because, with our business, what we do is we work with the owner and we say, okay, what goals are you trying to hit? Right. And this is what we think you're going to need to do to get the leads in. But then our job stops and then your job begins. You got the lead. Did you answer the phone? Did you go out there? I mean, I know one person, a client, and we're getting people in the door for low cost maintenance and low cost tune ups. And I said, well, did you sell maintenance plans? And she goes, no, we don't do that. And I was like, we got them in the door. Now's the time for you to do that upsell. And she just wasn't thinking through that. And I really struggle because I want to go into people's business and go, hey, I think there's a different way to do this. But that's not my job. My job is to help you get leads. Yeah, that's great, Dominic. I think that is really smart, because we bring, your advertising agency, your marketing agency should bring you the leads. But really, once you get in that home, that's when the magic starts, right? Because that's when you get the customer for life, you get the pipeline started, you get them on your maintenance plan. And um, it sounds like you're using some different tools. It sounds like you're doing some different things that's really helping your service calls become much more profitable, and I think that's fantastic, you
Yes,
know?
I
Yeah. Um, alright, so, I wanna kinda close out a little bit, but I wanna ask, as you're looking ahead, you got 20 more years in you, I'm sure. You got so
no,
much energy. No? I
I'm
can't
not
believe that.
be 77 years old in 20 years. If I'm still doing HVAC, yeah, no.
Okay, so what do you see in the future for Heatwiser? Let's say 5 years, 5, 10 years. What do you think? Is it taking on more AI?
It's a tough one because I'm more of a day by day kind of guy.
Yeah?
I would rather be doing nothing, to be honest with you, and hanging out with my wife and taking care of my family. Long as I have the finances to do it, that's going to drive that. As far as work goes, what do I see in 5 years from now? Mm, Well, from what I've learned from down south, they have this schematic, so to speak, this blueprint of how to run your company. And I have that blueprint on my wash or my chalkboard or my marker board at my shop.
Yeah,
And I have that, and I'm looking at that on a daily basis, and I'm trying to fill that. So once I get that running to where it is just like them down south, I would like to buy another company and go in there and do the same exact thing which they're teaching me to do. So if I buy another company, they'll already have all the players there. See, I'm trying to build the players up. That's the hard part. So once I get my players in place and I have it running exactly the way I want it to run, I could literally just walk away from that, let this thing run the way it is, and I can go buy another company and keep buying companies. And then from there, I don't know if I'm selling it, if I'm keeping it, if I'm building it up. I don't know. Right now, that's my plan. It's not a goal because I've learned that it's not about goals, it's about the process. You
yes.
gotta have a process. Goals are just a bunch of words. Process is where it's at. And what I've learned from down south is a process. Okay. That isn't a goal, it's a process. The goal is hitting 4 million a year. The process is getting there. And the process is the people and how they run it and putting and plugging all those key factors in place. Once I have that down pat, it's a game changer. It's game over. I could literally walk into any company and just turn it upside down like that and double their profits within 3 months.
I love it. So
That's
it looks like scaling is gonna be you're basically
only
repeating the
scaling
process
to
and
only
scaling it.
scaling to a $4 million company. That's it. That's it. You don't have to go any bigger than that. Any bigger than that. This process that they're following is 100% tried and true. And once you have that, it's game over.
Yeah, I love it, and then you go on and do it again.
Right? I'd
So
like to be down south in Florida. That's my goal. That's my
Yeah.
future. I want a place down in like wherever down south in Florida. I don't know where, maybe Cape Coral, Fort Myers, Stewart, somewhere down south, and not have to work. But if I did, I'd find a heating company and I'd buy it, and I would just do exactly what I know to do up here.
I love that. That sounds like hashtag goals for sure. So, and if anybody can make it happen, it'll be you, Dominic.
It's almost like real estate. When you buy a house, you flip it or you buy it and you rent it. You buy a company, you do exactly what I know to do, and then you let it sit there and you walk away, and then it just pays you dividends every single month. You know what I mean? Just like he's doing down there. That's I'm looking at. I look at the heating and AC world like another company as a house to buy. But I have to get my house fixed up first. Once my house is done and ready to rock and roll, then I can say, okay, I know the accounting portion, I know the KPI portion, the sales portion, the service, all that's done and locked in. Then I can walk into a company and say, let me see your books, let me see your numbers, let me see your company, and I can turn it right around.
I love that. I know it's kind of like when you do work on your own house. I mean, how many times like we learned how to tile. So the first time was excruciating and awful, but then the next time we did it, we already had the tools, we already knew what to do, we know what to expect, we knew where the pitfalls were. So that's a great analogy on the house analogy. That's exactly what it is.
Yep.
Well, yeah, I think that's great. Any other advice you would have for a small HVAC company
Yeah.
that's
Stay out
trying
of
to
my town.
scale?
Just kidding. Don't come to Syracuse and open up another business. I'm telling you, get out of here, go somewhere else. Um, well, I would say if a small company, it's hard because what I know, I don't want to share with local people around here because
Yeah.
I don't want to muddy my waters. But if that small company wants my advice and they're not from the area or out of New York or 7 hours away or whatever, call me. I'll tell you what it is. Just not around here. I'm not telling you what it is.
I know it. I love that you got your secret weapon. So,
It's not that secret. It's out there, but a lot of people don't know about it. So I'm glad.
yeah, you know
You know?
what? And sometimes people, I will give it to you. There's a lot of people that I think go and learn things, but don't implement them. And you are a doer. You implement, you make it happen. And I'm so impressed and have been so impressed with the work that you do. And just the investment that you've made in your people and training, all the different things. So, um, I really appreciate you being on the podcast today. I always learn stuff. I learned stuff today. I love that you're involved in motocross. I love learning about your brand because I hadn't learned about that before. I love that you say we have eyes everywhere. So I just love that. And I know that you're growing because you've earned people's trust, your transparency, and just the fact that you hustle. You're out there every day making it happen. So I want to thank you for joining us. Um, to our listeners, I'd just like to say, um, thanks for tuning in. Remember to subscribe for some more insights and tips from our leaders. So subscribe to our podcast. Also, go out and follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, whatever social media you use. And until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep exploring.
Thank you. I should have said earlier too. I should have said this. I didn't say it, and I apologize. If it wasn't for the Lord, my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, I wouldn't be in Heatwiser. I should have led with that right off the beginning because I got saved when I was working at another company, and I was witnessing to folks while I was working at this company about Jesus Christ, and the guy that I was working for didn't like it. He told me not to talk about God in anybody's home, which I still did anyway. But then he boned me on the money and didn't pay me what he was supposed to pay me, and kind of went backwards on what his commitment was. And I think that was because God made that happen. And I started Heatwiser within 2.5 weeks, and God has blessed me ever since.
I love that.